Well, good evening and welcome to this meeting for Tuesday, February 17th, 2026. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mr. Grigsby?
Here.
Mr. Haynes?
Here.
Mrs. McCarthy? Here. Mr. Baca?
Here.
Mr. Walker?
Here. Finalization of the agenda. Is there anything to add or remove?
The agenda is final as presented.
Thank you. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the written summary of the organizational and regular minutes for the meetings on January 13th, 2026 and January 20th, 2026.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grigsby, second by Mr. Haynes. Roll call, please.
Mr. Grigsby?
Yes.
Mr. Haynes?
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy? Yes. Mr. Baca?
Yes.
Mr. Waldman?
Yes.
All right, as we get ready to turn it over to the superintendent this evening, parents, as we recognize your students, we will ask that you stay for a brief recess so we can get pictures of all the students at the conclusion, if you wouldn't mind. All yours.
Thank you. Before we begin our recognition, I just want to take a moment to recognize the incredible care, concern, and love that we all felt today as a Ranger community in a very hard time of loss. I do want to appreciate the county crisis team led by Miss Jackie Vance, Liz Wolanski, and high school principal Megan Hignite that honestly brought our staff, students, and community together in a way that is not only very difficult, but very delicate, very caring. And we appreciate the work that this team put in today and will continue to put in throughout the week as we need support in the district. I do want to remind our parents and students that we will have people in place this week. If you do need additional support, our high school media center will be hosting counselors and support services throughout the day. And anything that you might need, we certainly will be able to help. So again, just a huge thank you to everybody for your care, your outreach, your concern, and all you did to hold a Ranger just a little bit closer today. Okay, now I would like to turn it over to Mrs. Jensen Zone, who is going to recognize our students at ECLC. Mrs. Pinto.
Good evening.
Hello.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. I'm so honored to welcome both of our students of the month. We have our kindergarten student here and our preschool student. So first we have little Riley. Riley's here with her mom today. This is Riley Weber. And her teacher has said that she's been working really hard in school and she's been making amazing progress. And she is so eager to share her thoughts and to talk to all of her friends. She enjoys playing throughout the school day. She has a positive attitude and a very infectious smile. Do you have a big smile? Her teachers say that she strives for excellence and never gives up. And it's such a pleasure to watch her grow every single day. And wait till you hear all the teachers that are proud of you. This is from Miss Diovato, who's here today, and Miss Hilly, who's here today, and Miss Brittany and Miss Kim. They're all so proud of you. So let's hear it for Riley. Kindergarten student. This is Hollis Lorco, and she is a kindergarten student in our full day program with Miss Jennings. She is a wonderful example of honesty and responsibility and kindness. She's always very dependable, and you're a big helper in the classroom. And her whole class is so proud of her, and her teacher is especially appreciative of her because she makes such a positive difference every day in our school community. And Hollis and I got to know each other really well. She's been helping me create a little video for for our incoming kindergarten students, and she gave some amazing advice for our incoming students. So let's hear it from Paul. And now I'd like to introduce Mrs. Coolio from Liberty.
Good evening. Tonight, I have the pleasure of introducing two students from Liberty. First, we have Peyton Kowicki. This is Peyton and Stitch. Peyton's teacher, Mrs. Anapola, who's here tonight, wrote that I am so proud to nominate Peyton for Student of the Month. Peyton is truly Ranger strong. She is responsible, respectful, and safe, which are our 3 school rules. So that's awesome. And she comes to school every day with a smile and ready to learn. At the beginning of the year, coming to school was not always easy, but she kept trying her best every day. Peyton takes ownership of her learning by practicing her phonics skills and high-frequency words on her own. She is becoming a stronger reader every day. Keep working hard, Peyton. And next, tonight we have Mila Clementi. She is a 2nd grade student in Mrs. DeLucas' class, who is also here for her this evening. And Mrs. DeLucas wrote that Mila shows great determination and never gives up, even when learning is challenging. Mila tries her best every day, asks for help when needed, and continues to work hard. I am proud of Mila's effort and attitude towards school. She is truly Ranger strong. Keep up the tremendous work, Mila. And then next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Sullivan from SF.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm excited today to announce our Ranger Strong Students of the Month. First up is Eva Fenyas, 3rd grader. Come on up. Has some great things to say. Congratulations. Eva consistently demonstrates what it means to be Ranger Strong, both in and out of the classroom. She takes true ownership of her learning by completing her daily assignments with care and responsibility. Eva works cooperatively with her classmates, is always kind and respectful, and sets a positive example for everyone around her. Her positive attitude and strong character make her a joy to have in our classroom. Congratulations again, Steve. Next up is Max McKay. Max could not join us today, so I will just read some wonderful things about Max. Max is a kind, compassionate, and positive presence in our classroom. He greets others with a smile or a hug, interacts warmly with his peers, and consistently shows what it means to be a hard worker and to be a Ranger strong. So congratulations to Max. Fifth grader, Zane Hack. Come on up, Zane. Zane consistently demonstrates kindness, responsibility, and a willingness to learn. He works well with his peers and is always eager to participate during class. He is respectful and puts forth effort in everything he does. Zane's positive attitude makes the 5 Purple Studio a great place to be. Congratulations again. And last but not least, Mackenzie Cooper. I do want to say, if anybody saw the family newsletter that came out on Friday, beautiful picture there in the family newsletter. So take a look at that if you haven't. Mackenzie is a shining example of what it means to be Ranger strong. She is extremely responsible and takes ownership of her learning, always asking for help and working to her full potential. She is creative, positive, kind, and friendly. Mackenzie gets along with everyone, treats others with respect, and is a positive role model for her peers. We are so proud of the growth she has shown this year and can't wait to see what her future holds. Congratulations. And I will turn it over to Ms. Durkin.
Good evening. I'm very excited to be here today to showcase two of our fabulous students at Ranger High Tech Academy. Our first learner that we are going to tell you about today is Dinma Uzebu. And Dinma was nominated by her fifth grade teacher, Coach Thacker. And this is what Coach Thacker said about Dinma. Each day, Dinma shows what it means to be Ranger Strong. She is curious, creative, and consistently demonstrates leadership throughout the day. Dinma checks in with herself and her classmates to ensure everyone stays on task and focused, taking responsibility for her learning and encouraging others to do the same. Her willingness to stay engaged and to support her classmates makes her a positive role model in the classroom. With her dedication and positive mindset, her future is limitless. Keep up the great work, Dinma. And our second student of the month is Sebastian Richards. Sebastian was nominated by his math and science, just math teacher, coach, this is just math, next year math and science. Yep, okay. And he was also recognized for his individual accountability, which is our STEAM community value for the month. And this is what Coach DeCiccio had to say about Sebastian. Sebastian truly embodies our STEAM community value of accountability. He holds himself to high expectations by staying on top of his work, using strategies to manage his time, and completing assignments at a high level. He asks thoughtful questions that pushes his learning deeper. When something isn't correct, he takes ownership by finding his mistake and explaining his thinking. Sebastian's commitment to understanding and not just finishing makes him a strong academic role model for his peers. Thanks for being Ranger Strong and keep up the great work. And now I would like to introduce Mrs. Hignite from the high school.
Right. Our first high school student of the month is Mr. Robert Bodak. So Robert is a junior and he was nominated by the Spanish teacher, and she had this to say. Robert is an outstanding Spanish 5 student who consistently demonstrates a deep appreciation for both the Spanish language and culture. He approaches his studies with enthusiasm, curiosity, and a genuine passion for learning. He is also vice president of Spanish Club, where he exemplifies exceptional leadership, dedication, and initiative. He actively promotes student involvement and contributes to the growth of our Spanish program. He is also committed to extending his own learning, actively seeking how to continue his Spanish studies his senior year, and looking at additional CCP options for a Spanish level 6. And a little bit selfishly, I also work closely with Robert. He's a member of my student advisory group and is motivated, respectful, and a positive role model amongst his peers. So congratulations, Robert. And our second student of the month couldn't be here in person today, and I'll tell you a little bit about why. But Kristen Carpenter is a senior, and Kristen was nominated by her counselor, and she had this to say. Kristen is a dedicated and hardworking student whose quiet confidence allows her to excel academically and in extracurricular pursuits. She may fly under the radar, but her determination and strong work ethic consistently sets her apart. During her senior year, Kristen challenged herself and took additional CCP classes in order to meet requirements for the honors diploma. And she is also enrolled in a new program we have this year, our CNA program. Why she couldn't be here tonight. If you don't know about it, it's in partnership with L3C and the JVS, where students are earning in real time a CNA nursing license. So she is at that class this evening. Kristen's spunky personality perfectly complements her grit and determination. With drive, focus, and positive spirit, she's going to find success. So that's Kristen. And Zeller for our staff members of the month, right?
Good evening, everybody. On behalf of the Board of Education, it is my pleasure to introduce two staff members of the month and also say congratulations to all of our students that have been mentioned and talked about so nicely this evening. Thank you for the families that are here and all of our staff that's here to support the students as well. It's always great to see the teachers that nominate the students be here to support all of you as well. So thank you. This month, I have the pleasure of announcing two excellent staff members. Our first this month is Mrs. Ashley Island. Ashley was first hired in July of 2014 as a math teacher at the high school. Prior to joining the North Ridgeville City Schools, she served as a long-term substitute at North Olmsted and then did a long-term substitute position with us. And then we were able to hire her on full-time as an excellent math teacher for the district. She also had some very important service as she served in the Ohio National Guard as a second lieutenant and has participated in the Army ROTC mentorship program. Most recently, Ashley has been vital in bringing College Credit Plus courses to the high school. Mrs. Alman has taken advantage of multiple training opportunities, including a computer science endorsement to add to her math license. And a parent nominated Ashley this month and had this to share. Mrs. Alman teaches several Math College Credit Plus classes at North Ridgeville. She helps the high school students learn to transition to a college course. Her positive attitude and enthusiasm for teaching really encourages the students to do their best. My daughter mentions her constantly as an amazing teacher. North Ridgeville High School is certainly lucky to have her. I would say the same. Ashley's willingness to continue her own education has afforded our students new opportunities and new pathways. And so she has helped refine those additional opportunities for our students. And we congratulate her and thank her for her dedication. Our second employee this evening is Mr. James Wood. We first hired Jim as a cleaner here at the Academic Center in December of 2022. And the next year, he wanted to transition to the paraprofessional role. So there was an opening for an auxiliary aide at the Early Childhood Learning Center, which he spent 1 year. And then this past year, he wanted to move to one of our ABLE classrooms here at NRAC. And so he is a paraprofessional instructional leader here at the Academic Center. All of his colleagues, his team, nominated him, multiple times, but one of his colleagues shared this. Jim has been an amazing addition to the school this year. He has a smile for everyone he meets, and his positivity is contagious. He is never anything less than patient with every child, regardless of the situation. And he is the first to jump in and help when there is a problem. Even during unstructured time, Jim can be found reading with a child or interacting with them. Jim's kindness for his students and his colleagues were mentioned in multiple nominations this month, We congratulate and thank him for the care that he shows our students. And again, just want to thank all of our teachers and our staff and our parents and our students that nominate our staff each month. It's a nice opportunity to be able to honor all of the great things that they're doing, and congratulations again to all of our students as well. Thank you.
Congratulations to all our students of the month. It's always our favorite meeting, as well as our staff members. We're going to take a brief recess so we can have some pictures taken. Please feel free to come back. We got this amazing financial forecast that will be absolutely riveting. Or you can bail and take advantage of the temperatures and the sun that you're going to have, because it's changing again this weekend. Oh, and our Liberty principal report. Come back for that. So we're going to go ahead and take pictures. Go ahead and call this meeting back to order.
There's only so much you can. Like so much you can do.
Okay, next I would like to introduce Mrs. Julio from Liberty Elementary, who would love to give the board an update on all the amazing things that we are doing with our first and second grade students.
You see that wherever you want.
Anybody. We're right here.
Yeah, you're right there. All right. Well, tonight I have the pleasure of sharing about Liberty, all that we've accomplished so far this year, but also some things over time now that I've been at the building for a couple of years. Our presentation tonight is broken up into 4 different sections relating to our 4 building goals. And the first one's the longest section. I'll try not to talk too much, but it gets progressively a little bit shorter. So our first building goal this year is focused on our general education curriculum. And so when I say tier 1 curriculum, that means what we want all students to have access to. And you might be aware that last year we adopted 2 new curriculum. One is Benchmark Advanced, and that's for reading and writing, as well as science and social studies that's integrated within. And then Envision 2.0. So that is our math curriculum. And then also we have students utilizing the Sunday system for reading intervention. So I included a couple pictures there of that in action. Last year, as we adopted the new curriculum, our focus was really on providing our teachers with professional development so that they were aware of how to utilize the curriculum, that they had the tools and strategies they needed to be successful. And so this year we haven't lost sight of that, but we are really focused on tier 2 instruction. So that means that smaller group instruction. How can we make it more targeted for our students? And so you can see Mrs. Noga there. She's one of our second grade teachers. She's working with a small group of students at reading a book at their level. So making it appropriate for that group of students. In the second picture, you could see Mrs. Blayton's first graders. They're giving each other peer feedback on their writing. So working in smaller groups with one another and self-assessing their work. And then in the third picture, you can see some students from Mrs. Major's first grade classroom. They're working with our Envision math curriculum, and they've been learning about 10 more and 10 less. So they're playing a game and doing partner work. And then in the last picture, Miss Finney, she's one of our intervention specialists. Her students are utilizing the Sunday system for reading intervention. So it's matched to their individual needs related to their goals. And if you probably far away for you to see, but they have like little witch fingers on. It was around Halloween time, so they were trying to make it cute and festive and engaging for the students. With all of the instruction that we've been doing with our new curriculum, our report card for last year for 24-25, we were rated 4 out of 5 stars for early literacy. And so that is really looking at students who were previously off track and now they are on track. And so we are trending upwards in the right direction with that. And our teachers have done such a wonderful job at working with our students on those skills. And then thinking about gap closing, that's focusing on our chronic absenteeism rates and like the other buildings in the district that have shared during their presentations. And Ms. Vance, we are partnering with the Cleveland Browns this year for the Stay in the Game initiative. And throughout the month of February, we have an attendance challenge. And so we're looking at attendance every week class-wide. And in early March, Chomps, the Browns mascot, is coming to Liberty. It's a surprise, so I hope none of the kids are watching this right now. But the class with the best attendance throughout the month of February, in addition to some students who have shown improved attendance or excellent attendance, they'll get to meet Chomps and be a part of a reading event in early March. So we're doing some things to target attendance. That also is looking at our English language learners, and we've hired an additional teacher this year. She is working at ECLC in Liberty, Miss
schooler, and she has been a wonderful addition to our staff working with that population of students. So we have some things in place to do even better, but we are all very proud of our report card from last year. Our first building goal that I'm referencing really talks about the general education curriculum, but I did not want to forget to highlight our EBO classrooms as well. Liberty is primarily a first and second grade building, but we do have actually quite a few kindergartners this year at Liberty in our 2 classrooms. And so Miss Natalie and Miss Katie, they utilize the Teach Town Encore curriculum. So that is giving their students access to the gen ed curriculum, but at an adaptive manner that meets their needs. New this year, Miss Natalie and Miss Katie, they are very passionate about inclusion. So making sure that their students are included with typical peers as much as possible, and also educating families. So they have started Able Connect nights, and they've had 3 so far. Our speech and language pathologists, our occupational therapists have all been a part of it, and our Able families are able to come to Liberty, meet one another, connect with one another, and then be educated on topics that relate to their students' needs. That has been really wonderful for those families and great to see our teachers shine in that role. And also Miss Anne Marie, she's one of our preschool able teachers from ECLC. She has been joining them as well. Additionally, we still have Friendship Club this year. And so that's one of my favorite pictures from the year, that top left picture. They've also started Friendship Fuel. So typical peers and then students from our able classroom, they meet monthly, do activities, or sometimes they're bringing around a cart for teachers. And we have a couple of teachers here tonight who I'm sure can attest to. It's nice to have like a hot chocolate show up at your door and some popcorn and such. And the students are using like fake currency to practice giving and receiving money and asking questions and taking orders. So even for our youngest learners, it's been really wonderful to see that in action. And then lastly, related to curriculum, we have Mrs. Gee is actually here tonight, and she had a short presentation shared that I linked in and I can send to you later because it really highlights so many of the awesome things she's doing in her classroom. But STEAM is a new special to Liberty this year. And our students, they love going to STEAM. It's like the new thing at Liberty. I have STEAM today, and they're super excited. She's utilizing the Project Lead the Way curriculum, which classrooms at RHDA and NRAC, they also use that same program. There's different levels of it. So in first and second grade, it's really just exploring and discovering and learning through play and hands-out work. And Mrs. Gee, you can see in some of those pictures, makes it super fun. We're thinking about collaboration and teamwork and critical thinking and building students' confidence. And she just does such a wonderful job at that. Mrs. Gee was previously one of our second grade teachers, and she, when I started at Liberty a few years ago, had said, if there's ever like a science or STEAM or tech position, like I'm all in. And she's very passionate about it, and you can tell. So it's been a great addition for her, but also for our students as well. Our second building goal this year focuses on MTSS, which stands for Multi-Tiered Systems of Support. So really, we're thinking about intervention and enrichment opportunities and making sure that all of our students have access to timely supports, whether that be academic, behavioral, or social, emotional, even attendance we talk about. So this is a new framework that we have put into place this year to just proactively address student needs. So rather than waiting for a problem, we're trying to get ahead of it ahead of time. This year, we're focusing, there's about 134 students that we're focusing on, and Liberty has about 620 students. So we're checking in on those students in our teacher meetings every 6 weeks. And so far, about 84% of our students are making that expected progress, which is really, really great to see that what we're doing for these kiddos is working and getting them where they need to be. We have 99 students receiving small group reading support. And then we also have over 90 students who have received or are receiving support from our school counselor. So Mr. Kennedy, he runs small groups throughout the day. He also does some one-on-one work with students in terms of behavior, social, emotional needs, but he also does whole group lessons every month as well. So I put that with like 91 plus because it's more students than that. He really impacts tons of students. So to do this, we administer assessments and screeners to students to see what their deficit is and what we need to address. And then we work together as a team to decide what does the student need to be successful, and then we monitor their progress over time. Our third building goal this year relates to social emotional learning. So it ties into some of that work Mr. Kennedy's doing, and then also PBIS, so positive behavior interventions and supports, which I know you've heard about before from other buildings. last year, our staff noticed that there was a need for more instruction around social emotional learning. So feelings, how to deal with feelings, how to cope with feelings, strategies for those. And so our staff got together a committee and we decided to adopt the Zones of Regulation curriculum. And this was something that the 3rd and 4th grade at NRAC was already utilizing. So we thought if we could start it here and carry on as we go up, that's what makes more sense and will best support our students. And I know Ms. Durkin is using it as well at RHT this year. And so the Zones of Regulation is really focusing on that, teaching students at this young age, like, what does it mean to be angry? What does it mean to be happy? What does it mean to be frustrated? And then when you are those things, how can you deal with them? How can you cope with them? What strategies can you use? And we have seen a ton of success with this. The program utilizes 4 colors. And so it's been great to have common language across the building. Our recess monitors, our lunch monitors, our specialists, everybody has been trained in it. So if I see, Kelly out in the hallway and I've never met Kelly before, but she's upset, I can still stop her and use the same language that her teacher would use in the classroom. And so students are checking in every morning. You can see in that bottom left picture, one of our students, he's putting his little picture magnet on his color and how he's feeling that morning. And every classroom does that. Every classroom has a dedicated time. It's the first 15 minutes of the school day where they're talking about this topic and they're going through the curriculum for social emotional learning. And it's just, we've seen a huge success. So and I'm going to share a little bit about that next. Also PBIS, we're still doing so many of the things we were already doing. I know everybody talks about fancy lunch and our prize card and those expected behavior videos that we show students to show them what we expect at school. So far this year, we've logged 200 positive phone calls to families as a staff. So about 31% of our students have received a positive call home from a staff member in the building. And then again, just fostering all of this, we want anything that we're doing in school to connect to home. So trying to build those home to school connections is important with all of this work. And this is what I need. Those are really small numbers, so I need my printout. When talking about the Zones of Regulation, because this is a new program and we're about halfway through the year, we wanted feedback from different groups of stakeholders. So we asked our students, we asked our staff, and we asked families how they feel the program has been working so far. And so when we asked students, and these are our 1st and 2nd graders, we had 571 responses, so almost the entire school. We asked them, do the zones help me know how I'm feeling? And 60% of students said all the time. And about 34% of students said sometimes. So we know that it's working. Students are learning about their feelings and how they're feeling, which is so important at this age. We also asked students, learning about feelings makes school feel, and 60% of students said better, which is great to hear that more than half of our students feel better about school because they're aware of their feelings and how to deal with them. When we asked staff on a scale of 1 to 5, and 5 was the best, how helpful has having a daily SEL block been? 77% of staff said great. It's been awesome. It's been really beneficial. We've seen a decrease in behavioral referrals. And that second question that we asked staff is what have they noticed from students? And so staff reported they noticed students naming their feelings more, using regulation strategies more, asking for help more appropriately, all those things that we want, our littlest learners to be able to do at this age. And then lastly, when we asked families, again, we wanted to see if what we're doing at school is transferring over to home. Are we doing a good job at communicating this to families? Are they aware of it? We asked families if they were familiar with what we're using with this program, and about 46% of families said they're very familiar, and about 43% of families said somewhat familiar. So we know that we could make them more familiar. We have work to do there. We're about halfway through the year, but almost half of our families are familiar with this. And so families have noticed that their students are talking about feelings more, they're calming down after being upset, asking for help, they're solving problems. So all those things that families want to see at home, and we're able to provide them with the same visuals and same language that we use at school, so it can help them at home as well. And then our 4th and final building goal this year focuses on our school culture. And so this will be our 4th year utilizing a framework from the book School Culture Rewired. And so we have a school culture plan. We have things in place for students, staff, and families, but this really focuses the slide on what we're doing for staff. And so something that you can see over to the right side, some of the so it's probably a little bit hard to see, but some of that data, we each year put out a school culture survey. And so this data is from the spring of last year, which would have been our third year. And you can see over time from Liberty of 2023 to Liberty of 2025, how much more collaborative the staff have self-evaluated themselves when it comes to our school culture. I know it's something I'm very proud of. I know it's something that the staff is very proud of. Just to see how far we've come, all of that green means we kind of maxed out on the collaborative areas of the school culture survey. So you can see just, again, over time, how much, how great this place is to be, how great it is to work there, and for students to learn ultimately, because that's what's most important. Some of the things that we are doing this year that have carried over from last year or are newer are focusing on owning our 20 square feet. So owning the space around us. What can we do? What's within our control? What we do and what we say impacts others. And so we talk about E plus R equals O. So you have an event plus a response equals an outcome. Whatever outcome you want to give a response to get the outcome that you want. So we've focused on that a ton. If you ever come to Liberty on Mondays, staff look a little comfy, but they are donating for a cause. So it's something that kind of excites them on Mondays about coming to work. And we've given back to local communities or our local community and local charities. Other things we've done is create new leadership opportunities for staff, especially with our committees. We have a very active social committee. We still have our pickleball league going, our book club, our social committee plans, just a ton of fun events in school, potlucks, games, as well as outside of school events for staff. And then our sunshine committee really helps staff when they need it in times of need, but also happy things, celebrating exciting events in staff's life. And then our buddy classrooms, we pair up our first grade classrooms and our able classrooms with a second grade classroom so that staff and students are able to connect across the building. And then lastly, at the bottom, you can see our staff shout outs for this year. I can't see that number from here. It's around 400 shout outs that staff have given each other this year. So I think that just goes to show, and we staff are able to check off which area of Ranger Strong that staff member was exemplifying when giving the shout out. And the biggest one by far is teamwork. So that just really goes to show that we are a team and all of our staff works together so closely to just collaborate and make it a great place to work and a great place to learn for our students. That is it. I think that's it. Yeah. Any questions?
That was a fantastic presentation. Thank you so much for that. I'm curious if the charts that you use where the students can identify their feelings, like I'm sure that's in the morning, maybe when they come into school or
Yep.
What happens then after a child has identified their feelings for the day?
It's a great question.
Or for the morning.
Yeah, our teachers check in with it. Every classroom does it in the morning. Some classrooms do it a second time after lunch and recess because that's where we see a lot of, issues in those unstructured times with students or maybe certain feelings happening. So teachers will kind of look over there in the morning. Some teachers utilize like number magnets, so it's more private. Some teachers utilize like pictures of the students. A couple of our second grade teachers are doing it digitally, like on a Google form, and they're able to check it live and they call kids over if they need to talk about it. So it's been a good way for, a kid wakes up late, misses the bus, has a bad breakfast or whatever. It's just having a rough morning. It makes the teacher aware and then they can handle that student with a little bit more care throughout the day.
Love it. Great. So I need to use it with my coworkers at work.
Right?
It's a great idea.
I think it might be helpful to know what people are coming in with.
I know. And we've been utilizing that language even, with each other and like, I'm in the red zone right now. I'm feeling, very frustrated and the kids enjoy it. It's been great.
It's wonderful. Thank you.
Well, awesome too. Like Eli, he benefits from it. We utilize it at home. But the cool thing is when staff reaches out and says, hey, Eli was having a rough morning. We work through it. His day's turned around and we get feedback throughout the day through Parent Square. So it's not just something that you're utilizing in the school as a grandparent. We're made aware of how his day's going and having a grandchild that struggles with regulating his emotions at times. The feedback is awesome to know how his day's going. So we have a better idea what to expect when he gets home. And he loves STEAM. It's by far his favorites. Special. Used to be PE, but STEAM is
She didn't need that, but that was pretty good.
Just wanted to say I toured your school project, Mr. Pritt.
Sure.
The silence walls, phenomenal.
So
I specifically went there without my hearing aids because that's how I just
Yeah.
couldn't hear anything. That was a good thing.
It is.
And the furnace repairs
Mhm.
were perfect. Everything in school was nice, warm. This and enjoyed either.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you, Mrs. Fuller.
Okay.
All right, time to
So we're gonna need that little emotional chart to see how everybody is at the beginning and then where they end at the end. I know how mine is. So, we are required to submit a forecast twice a year. They've changed it all. Now we have to do it, it was in November and May, and now they've changed it to October and February. But that doesn't really line up really well with a whole lot of things, so I'll be back in May. Just FYI, warning. The forecast also just used to be 5 years, or we were required to do 5 years, and now the state has changed it that we only are required to do it 3. We're looking out 3 years. I still do 5 years. It helps see where problems are. It helps see when you need to make staffing changes, when you need to go on a levy. Looking out this far doesn't get you as much information as looking out this far. So we still present a 5-year forecast. Just a little refresher on the forecast. When we are talking about the forecast, we are talking about general funds. So those are our 001 funds, and you can think of the general fund as like your checking account at home. That's where we pay for our salaries and our utilities and our supplies. So that's when we're discussing these forecast figures. Those are figures that we're specifically speaking about. So before I get started, typically, it's probably all familiar to you. I go through all these. I'm going to go through the current year, and then we're going to take a little detour. Because we all know about property tax reform. So the October forecast is completely different than the May forecast. Typically, they're very similar. February, sorry. Typically, there's really not a whole lot of change, but because of tax reform, they are completely different. So we're gonna look at the current year and then kind of explain why they're so different. So if you look at the current fiscal year here, our cash balance is the beginning of our balance of our checking account, basically. If you look, we're looking at, we started the year on July 1st with about $22 million, $22 million.
Go back.
No, wrong one. Go back to slide.
Here.
There.
Sorry.
I was like, whoa, that's looked like mine.
Sorry.
So the little yellow one is what we started off with, and the big blue one is what we're anticipating ending with. So right now, our projected revenue that we're going to receive this year is about $61 million. We are anticipating spending about $59 million, which means we will have an excess of about $2 million. And then that means that based off of our beginning balance and our beginning balance, we should end the year with about $23 million. And then, so let's look at the revenue. So I mentioned based off of revenue and expenditures on that first slide, looking at that whole $61 million that we're planning on bringing, this is what makes up that $61 million. We have about $38 million, or 63% of our revenue is coming from the local share, which is our local property taxes. We've got about $17.9 million coming from the state funding. And of that $17 million, $12 million comes from the school funding plan, $947,000 comes from restricted grants, which is economically disadvantaged English learners, student wellness, et cetera, et cetera. And then the remaining $5 million of the state share is the state's reimbursement of property taxes, the homestead and rollback figures. Then there's that little tiny piece of other revenue of about $4.8 million. Those are things like kindergarten tuition, payment in lieu of taxes, and earnings on investments. So that's where our money is coming from. Now, this is where our money is going. Of that $59 million that we're anticipating spending, the biggest chunk of it, 82%, is $48 million is comprised of personnel costs. No surprise, we're people, we're school. You don't really sell a lot of stuff other than knowledge. Our 82% of our personnel costs, we are basically right in the middle compared to other districts on what we're spending on personnel services. So it's a nice, comfy place to be. Our next biggest area of spend is on purchase services, about $7 million. These are things like food service contracts, ESTs, legal fees, insurances, those kinds of expenses that we need to pay. And then lastly, our last amount of 6%, or about $3.4 million, falls into the other category. Those are like miscellaneous fees and small repairs, some types of equipment pieces. So right now, we're looking to spend less than what we're actually bringing in. So pretty good spot to be in, right? Yes, it is. So that's for this current school year. Now, we've been dealing with this for a year and a half. So property tax comes along. My nemesis. So I just kind of wanted to like take a quick little detour and talk about some of the terms that you hear when you're talking about property tax reform, so that everybody knows what exactly we're talking about. And one of the things that I found most people don't really understand is millage. You hear about millage on everything regarding property taxes. So just kind of wanted to go over and kind of give you a high level view of what exactly millage is, so that when you hear these things, you kind of at least have heard it, or what it means. If we look back over our projections from October and what they are now after we go over all of this, it's a little bit less optimistic than we had back in the beginning, but it's okay, we'll get there. So when we talk about millage, in Ohio, properties are taxed on 35% of the market value. So if you think about it, you have a $100,000 home, your value is $35,000. 1 mil is $1 for every $1,000. So if you have a 10 mil levy, 10 mils, $10, $1,000. School millage, when we talk about school millage is comprised of, or has two different variants. One of them is inside millage, and those inside millage is unvoted. And then outside millage, those are the mills that people vote on for a levy. So those are voted, inside are not. And then there's just a quick little simple tax calculation. So if the value is $35,000 and you need 10 mils, you divide by 1,000, it's $350. Right. So another term you'll hear, or people will talk about, is House Bill 920 and the 20 mil floor. House Bill 920 was passed back in not jotted that down, but we're gonna go 97. The House Bill 920 limits revenue from voted levies. So this was passed back to prevent automatic tax increases. So basically, when kind of the same thing as the floor, when values rise, they reduce your millage so that you're not making a ton of money off of the change and increase of values.
You got a 7.
Here, is it 67?
776.
No. Revenue under House Bill 920, the only revenue, like huge revenue we can see is through new construction. So 920 limits what we can make off of voted levy. And then there's the 20 mil floor. Once 20 mils, you take 20 mils, you cannot reduce any further. So it's like the limit. So once you hit the floor and those prices rise, you can't go any lower than 20. Being on the floor means that you're receiving the state's minimum guarantee rather than the full amount that would have been generated using the funding formula. So then these are just some little quick tips on how anything applies to North Ridgeville schools. We are a floor district. So as property values increase, revenue increases to extent. In 2024, when was our last reappraisal, home values increased by 31%. We have a cash balance policy of 90 days. And then we have our 2 incomes. We have our substitute or fixed sum levy that was approved in 2020, and it combined 4 emergency levies. It expires in 2030, and that did not raise any taxes for any homeowners. Took all 4 of those, merged it all together into one big levy. Then we have the bond issue, which was passed in November of 23 for $143 million. And just want to mention that can only be used for the new construction of the high school and transportation center. So when we talk about property tax reform, which we have talked about, there are 4 pieces of legislation that impact our district's financial forecast. The first one is House Bill 129, I'm sorry. This allows us to renew our substitute levy for at least 5 years. However, it now includes that calculation of those mills in our floor calculation. And then this will happen when we go out for reappraisal next year in 27. House Bill 186, that caps our revenue at the rate of inflation and then provides a taxpayer credit. So if homes went up 30%, but inflation's only 12%, the difference goes back to the taxpayers. So we can't ever make more than what the rate of inflation is. House Bill 335, that limits the amount of revenue that we can obtain through the unvoted millage when property values rise. Again, when prices rise, they're going to reduce our inside millage so that we can't make more than the rate of inflation. And then House Bill 309 or House Bill 96 kind of combined together. But that bill actually gives the more authority to the local budget. So it allows counties to offer a property tax exemption. They're calling it a piggyback on the existing homestead and owner-occupied credits. However, unlike the existing homestead and owner-occupied credits, we do not get reimbursed by the state for that. So we woke up one morning and we lost $1.7 million because the county initiated this. So then House Bill 186, again, this is capping our revenue at the rate of inflation. The state says, since you've been making too much money off of this for the past 3 years, we're going to go back and get that from you. So they've changed their mind. It was to the tune of about $2.2 million for North Ridgeville. The state is going to cover that cost for us. So they're not taking it from us. They're going to take that.
So that's generous.
Good.
So, the thing about the House Bill 186 is House Bill 129, when they enact House Bill 129, that takes us off of the floor. So that means that once we come off of the floor, the taxpayers are not going to see a tax credit again from House Bill 186. Can I pick that up so much?
Can you say that again? I'm sorry. You lost me on that one.
So because of House Bill 129,
Mhm.
which stops it, look, I have to read them because there's so many. It includes all the other, includes our fixed sum levies into the calculation for the floor. So that 129 is taking us off the floor. So when we're not on the floor anymore, we're not gonna, the taxpayers aren't gonna see that tax credit. So when we're at the floor, that's where they're seeing.
Okay.
Makes sense? So they'll only see a one-time credit because after House Bill 129 goes into effect, they won't get it. All right, so this. I don't know how well anybody's gonna like this grid. It kind of helped me figure it out. Because again, certain things feed off of each other. They're not completely separate. So if you look at that first line, in 23 through 25, our inside millage was 6.1 and 26 as well. In 27, when we go through reappraisal, so that we're not making more than we should, the rate of inflation, it's going to start dropping. It dropped our inside millage to 5.93. And that's House Bill 335 is that very first line. That's the effect of House Bill 335. Then, in addition to 335, House Bill 129 is requiring our substitute levy to be included in that 20 mil floor. As a result, we're no longer on the floor, so our outside mills are reduced by House Bill 920. They all feed off of each other. So if you look, there's the third line down, it says the original floor calculation. We're at the 20 mil floor. And then once House Bill 929 goes into effect, we're no longer on the floor. So then that hops into 186, pumping out the tax credit that taxpayers are going to see. And then, so our new total calculation of effective mills is going to be 27.57, and then that will continue to drop slightly based on the rate of inflation, all that good stuff. And so eventually we might go back on the floor, but at the rate it's dropping, it will be quite some years before that happens. So here's the ugly part of it all. This graph is comparing the October forecast that was presented and the forecast as it is now with all of these property tax reforms in place. Ultimately, cumulatively from 2026 through 2030, we will collect almost $15 million less than we anticipated back in October. Broke it down at each grid. I can't read it on my chart. 146,000 in 26, and then jumps to 1.6 in 27, and just continues to accumulate. So if we look at this grid, the top chart is how we look in October. Thing I want to point out here is in 2030, we had an excess of $974,000. If you look down at February, in that same revenue surplus deficit, we are short $7.6 million. Another thing to point out, in fiscal year 27, in October, we were supposed to end with an extra $1.5 million. And in fiscal year 27, now we are ending deficit spending to the tune of about $184,000. We've been looking at this, watching this since property tax all started coming out. So we've done not knowing how it was gonna affect us, what was gonna pass, what wasn't gonna pass. We started making small changes. We had buildings reduce their budget by 10%. We're not replacing people who retire or resign. Cut back on spending. It's not absolutely necessary. You're not getting it. So we've been trying to be proactive once all of this has come about, even when we didn't know how it was going to affect us. So our next slide. These are our days of cash on hand. In October, we were ending in 2030 with about 166 days of cash. And now we are anticipating in 2030 only having 46 days of cash, which board policy states we have to have at least 90 days of cash on hand. So because of the property tax reform, our revenues being capped and our reserves are declining. And if you look at the next slide, you will see that in 2028, our revenues start to exceed our expenditures, our expenditures are about to exceed our revenues. And that's one of the reasons why our cash balance is decreasing. That little line that goes through both of those grids, that's our cash balance. So in our forecast before, we were anticipating ending 2030 with $30 million. And now we're anticipating ending 2030 with about $9 million. And then this is just another graph, a different view to show how our revenue is going to start growing fast, or our expenditures are going to start growing faster than our revenue. So not great. Not anybody's fault.
Well, you're being generous. There's all kinds of faults. So,
Yes.
so the state's math is we're gonna lose about $1,000 per student, so I can save $200 a year in my property tax.
Pretty much.
And my vote to support new buildings and levies no longer matter because the state collectively might decide that property tax is a bad thing. With no replacement in mind. And we've now allowed county commissioners that can't even make their car payments to decide whether or not we're fiscally responsible. And yes, I am saying this out loud because it's all a joke. If there's a color worse than red, that's where I'm at. We go from being fiscally responsible, doing the right thing here in North Bridgeville City Schools to make sure our students are afforded every opportunity, for a bunch of clueless politicians, spineless politicians, to railroad us with talking points to save me $200 a year in property tax. And I shouldn't be pissed about that. And let's not talk about the potential rifts down the road that's going to eliminate local income tax because we're going to lose those people that are working inside North Bridgeville city limits. And people in Columbus don't see a problem with this. Our county commissioners that can't even make sure that we are paying our car payments are now deciding that we're going to take $1.6 million from Ridgeville because they decided so. What am I missing?
You're not missing anything.
I mean, does that sum it up pretty accurately?
That would sum that up accurately.
So I saved $200 in property tax. Thank you let's not forget, that's just this time. I shouldn't have spent the $200 next year because apparently I'm not getting that.
Yes, next year you're not. You're not going to get
I
$200.
already got that, so I guess I'll have to figure out where I'm coming up with $200. It's all ridiculous.
It is. And then it also the state, our state funding they're not even talking about that, the piece that the state kicks in. And the more, chances are that's probably gonna be reduced as well.
So if all these changes come to fruition, the good faith credit of North Ridgeville City Schools and me as a taxpayer saying I'm willing to fund a $143 million project, we might have no means to do that 5 years from now, depending on what the state does with this property tax and everything else that's going on. Or I'll pay $22 for a loaf of bread. Right?
Yeah, they have no solution for what they're doing.
We really should keep electing the same people. That's a great idea. Sorry. I'm just saying what everybody's thinking. So.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not saying anything. I'm like, I'm not getting fired today.
I can say it. They can vote me out of office and I'll be even louder in the community.
I get scolded by Mr. Pritt when we go on financial things. He's like, you said that out loud. I said, I'm holding as much in as possible.
Thank you for doing the best you can with the circumstances that are being dumped on us, for lack of better words. Thank you.
Mr. Vaca, that would sound like Morse code, what I'm thinking of. That's why I'd be censored.
I think that to illustrate, like, I think the community should have some outrage.
Yes.
Maybe not to this, maybe more,
Is my outrage
maybe more extreme than this. The fact of the matter is that the politicians have said that your vote doesn't count.
Exactly.
You have voted to support your school district, to support your fire, to support your police. You have voted that in your community, and you have said, I am willing to spend that money out of my earnings, out of my, what I earn as a person, as a citizen of this community. I am willing to do that to support what I value in my community. And the legislators in Columbus and the legislators in Lorain County commissioners have said that doesn't matter. Your vote on that doesn't matter. And I hope that people understand that moving forward, that if they want their vote to matter, they have to pay attention who they're voting for.
Absolutely.
I want to point something else out too that, I think has been helpful as we've been having these conversations within our buildings. And Mr. Vaca mentioned all of these tax bills effectively impact our students by about $1,000. Right now, North Ridgeville City Schools spends about $10.7 or $10,700 per student. The state average is about $12,700 per student. So we're already spending almost $2,000 less per student. And I would argue that with our staff, and you just heard some fantastic examples today, the amazing things that our staff does, we don't overspend. We are very fiscally responsible, and we do a ton with that $10,700 per student. The $1.7 million that the county commissioners did take, in for lack of better terms, there are 88 counties in the state of Ohio. I believe 11 or 12 counties across the state chose to vote on that double up. In some communities, many of the budget commissions had conversations with their mayors, police chiefs, fire chiefs, superintendents. How would this impact you? We were not offered that. In fact, we were one of the first counties to be on the bleeding edge of that. North Ridgeville City Schools lost $1.7 million out of $17 million across the county, which was the highest amount of money lost by a government agency throughout the county. David, what was that number? $340 per student that equated to? And as a reminder, that $1.7 million from North Ridgeville, or $17 million across Lorain County, equated to a very small group of people throughout the community that would have been impacted by that. But for us, it was about $350 per student less than we're already spending. And again, as a whole, we're looking at a total figure of about $1,000 with all of these things wrapped together. So just to kind of put it in perspective for the community, and some of the outrage that we're feeling. I'm sure some of our parents are too, and I'm sure that some of our parents understanding those figures will be even more outraged, knowing that we are going to have to reduce staff. We are looking at not replacing positions. And perhaps that will trickle into some loss of service at some point, depending on how this becomes rectified, but certainly nothing we're looking forward to. But I will say our building principals, the team in front of you, really are doing their best to make those small reductions now to lessen what could be in the future.
Mr. Baca, is it possible we could send an invite out to those people in Lorraine County that made a decision?
I'm open to anything that would affect change. Here's my other concern. So we're supposed to make financial decisions based on a forecast. My property, I don't have an escrow account. I pay my insurance and property tax personally. I don't like escrow accounts. It was due Friday, February 13th. But our projections are now February. Have you collected any of those tax revenues yet?
We have, we received our first tax advance of $2 million, a little over $2 million.
But now we're gonna move it up to February, not knowing who paid, who didn't pay, how much you're actually receiving. And we're supposed to make decisions on top of all these other notes.
Yes, that's one of the problems I had with when they changed the
Right.
reporting periods. In the beginning, we are missing large pieces of data with October account reports and all the other kinds of stuff. And now at the end, that's why I'm gonna do it again in May, because again, the County Budget Commission is gonna look at every penny we have. And they're gonna wanna make sure that everything ties out to the forecast, everything ties out to everything we have on file. And when we're doing it so far away, how is that possible? I don't have a magic 8 ball. I can only use the data that's in front of me. And if my data is stopping all the way back in February, I can make guesses, but I prefer not to make that many guesses.
And I apologize. I have all the respect for what you all do. I really do. And you all deserve the best, and our kids deserve the best. And honestly, sometimes the fight part needs to be spoken out loud, especially by a person that, what are you gonna do? Not elect me next time? Have at it. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. Sorry.
Thank you for saying. Appreciate it.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Yep.
It's got that one too, so it's good.
That concludes superintendent treasurer's report.
Marie, can you do yours again?
Yeah.
We go back to Liberty.
All right. Well, we're not even done with the meeting yet, are we?
No, you're certainly not.
Nobody started.
Okay, here's an opportunity for viewing of the public. If anybody would like to address the Board of Education. Mr. McCarthy, would you like to share the one announcement we have?
Well, this is, I don't know, irony, I guess. Ohio Public School Week, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciating your public school, February 23rd through the 27th. We hope that you can celebrate the fantastic work that is happening all across the state of Ohio, but especially in North Ridgeville City Schools, as we celebrate Ohio Public School Week, despite circumstances.
We will celebrate.
Indeed, we will.
That it? We're good, right?
Yes, sir.
Let's move on to the consent agenda. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the consent agenda resolution as presented.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Ms. McCarthy, second by Mr. Henry.
I think Mr. Walson.
Yeah, thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Rumpelman?
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby?
Yes.
Mr. Haynes?
Yes.
And Mr. Vaughn?
Yes. Okay, I support Ms. McCarthy.
I'd rather skip it, but we have 2 items for consideration tonight under the finance report. First is our typical financial statements and report of interest and investments, this time for the month of January 2026. And as we've just heard from Mrs. Fanta, the second is our financial forecast and assumptions report. It is recommended that the Board of Education approve both of these items in one reading.
Second.
Moved by Ms. McCarthy, second by Mr. Haynes. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby,
Yes.
Mr. Vaca,
Yes.
Mr. Wampelman.
Yes.
All right, moving to buildings and operations. This resolution authorizes the Board of Education to acknowledge the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission's design phase review comments for the new high school project. Approval confirms the board's acknowledgement of the comments and agreements to complete any required revisions outlined in the attached review.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. McCarthy, second by Mr. Haynes. Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby,
Yes.
Mr. Vaca,
Yes.
Mr. Wampelman.
Yes.
Okay, Human Resources Report, Mr. Haynes.
Thank you, Ms. Rocca. We have a few items to consider under the Human Resources Report. One support staff appointment, one support staff substitute contract, 5 certified staff leave of absence, 2 support staff leave of absence, 1 supervisor resignation, 1 certified staff resignation, and 1 support staff resignation. I move to approve the Human Resources Report in 1 reading. Second.
Moved by Mr. Haynes, second by Mr. Grigsby. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby,
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mr. Vaca,
Yes.
Mr. Wampelman.
Yes. All right, it is recommended that the Board of Education enter into executive session to discuss the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, compensation of public employees and matters related to negotiation of public employees. There will be no action to follow.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. McCarthy, second by Mr. Grigsby. Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Vaca,
Yes.
Mr. Wampelman.
Yes.
752.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you first.